If you want to scale to $100,000 a month plus a month, then you need to work less, not more. What do I mean by that? What I mean is if you're doing 20 to 30K a month and you're still working 8 to 10 hours a day, then you don't have a growth problem. You've got a control problem, right? If you're still taking sales calls, if you're still, in the Slack, putting out fires every single day, chasing up the setters, chasing up the closers, wherever it might be, well, yeah, it's not a growth problem, right? It's not your leads, it's not your content, it's not your ads, and it's not your setter or closer or sales team. And the reason I know this is because for two of my clients which I now work with, they were in the exact same position, right? Jake had his revenue stuck at $24,000, $25,000 a month, for months at a time. Inconsistent team performance. Sometimes the setters would perform, sometimes they wouldn't. Couldn't really figure out how or why, right? Why is a closer closing at 35% one week and then 17% the next week? They've been burnt out before, whether that be by other growth operators, sales managers, wherever it might be. Working hard every single day, right? Every single day in the Slack showing up, but that's not turning into noticeable results in terms of, sales team performance. No clarity on why numbers fluctuate. Why are we doing so good, pacing a record month at the start, the first week, and then boom, all comes crashing down when we get to the last week of the month or the 2 weeks in. And less time for higher leverage tasks. If you're a content creator, you should be making content, nothing else, right? That's your whole job. That should be your primary focus, making content, getting better at making content. Anything that takes you away from that, not good. Same thing applies for, Brad and Wizzy. Same situation, right? Sales team wasn't performing, couldn't really figure out why. They were on a good, run at the start, boom, came crashing down, inconsistencies, just couldn't figure out why. And one is a B2C niche, other is a B2B, right? And for the both of them, we did not change ads, we did not change offer, we didn't hire more people, we fixed what was underneath. And what was that? We stopped the leaks, right? We stopped the leaks in the bucket. That's the main thing. And that's something most people don't actually even pay attention to. They'll keep pouring in the water, right? Not understanding that the water is going out, right? Death by a 1,000 cuts, as they say, the expression. And what is this? What's underneath, you might be asking, right? What it is systems and tracking. It's not the sexiest things in the world, right? But it's so essential to actually get and progress and scale. So, number one, no enforced KPIs for setters or closers. Right? What's the result of that, right? Setters just book calls with no accountability, and your revenue and your sales, your whole sales process becomes random. Right? It's completely random. There's no KPIs. The setters will stroll up saying, "Hey, lead flow wasn't the best today. Lead flow wasn't the best, mate. Right? I've just spent another $100 on ads today. What do you mean lead flow wasn't the best? I've been spending, $4,000-5,000 this month. What do you mean lead flow isn't the best, right? And they'll say this to you because you've got no clear KPIs in place, no clear structure, no clear data supporting why you even have the KPIs in the first place. It's just a bit of a wish-washy thing, right? No KPIs. The most important thing is to have KPIs directly linked to your team members' goals, right? Whatever they tell you the personal goal is in their life. I want financial freedom. I want to make 2, 3, 4, 5K a month. Okay, fine. Here's what it's going to take to get there in terms of the KPI. And boom. That's how your KPI is set and enforced, and people are actually motivated to hit KPI. Next, no structured onboarding or training systems. Right? The reps just come on, dilly-dally, bish-bosh, and you expect them to, hop on and magically know. You think, okay, I know this guy, he said this rep's good, let me crack on with him. No, the rep is shit, mate. It's completely shit. Like, you can't expect a monkey to start, you're basically expecting a monkey to start dancing. That's all you're doing, right? Result, every hire starts from scratch. You ain't got a Scooby what he's doing. Inconsistent messaging, inconsistent booking quality. An offer owner is stuck firefighting. You're stuck there putting out fires because you've hired someone without the relevant training, right? You can hire someone who's hungry with no experience. That's fine. But the training needs to be there. The support needs to be there from the start. Here's an example of what I give all my reps, when they start. I'm building out this, adding to it every day. This is a dialing, a whole school course just for dialers, right? And I'm going into it. I'm typing this all up by hand, by myself. No AI, none of this ChatGPT training bullshit. This is all, real experience translated into real training. Next, data-backed performance reviews. How can you be running a sales team or an offer with no reviews? Right? You don't even know what your team's doing. You don't check back in with them. You don't actually assess how things are going. Right? So decisions are made on feelings, not facts. Underperformance gets unnoticed. And your top performers aren't replicated, right? You should always be using top performers. What are they doing better? What's being, utilized there that isn't? Take from it, adapt, allow the whole team to learn. And what happens then? Revenue plateaus because no one knows what actually needs fixing. You're just shooting, darts at a wall, expecting one to stick, when your aim is completely off. Makes no sense. Next, no clear qualification standards, right? You ain't got a clue on what you're doing to qualify. The setter's just saying, yeah, bro, he's qualified, yeah. You've booked in an Indian lead with 10 rupees to his name, mate. Yeah, he's qualified though, he's qualified. No, he's not qualified. Sorry to break it to you, mate, he's not qualified. Boom. Low quality calls get booked. Closers waste time on uncommitted prospects, right? That plays a part into churn rate with closers as well. Wonder why you can't keep a good closer? It's because of that as well, right? That ties in. Show rates drop, close rates suffer, and blame gets shifted instead of problems getting solved, right? That's pretty much the bottom line, right? He did this, he wasn't able to close it. He was a good prospect, whatever. Sorry, mate. If there's no clear qualification system or criteria, you're just basically throwing darts at a wall, essentially. Here's an example of some of the qualifying criteria we use for some of the offers we manage. So, income, location, age, DQ leads under 21, students, third worlders, not based in the US, Canada, or Western Europe. So we're very clear on that. And leads based in Western Europe on less than $30,000 a year. Next one, no pre-call conditioning assets. This is vital, absolutely crucial. Because what happens if you don't have this in place, right? Prospects show up unprepared, price resistance increases, trust is lowered going into the call, closers have to sell instead of confirming alignment, conversion rates stay inconsistent. What does that all mean, essentially? What it means is you're doing all the hard work booking in the prospect just to throw it all away from the time between the call being booked and the call being taken. That's all. Why aren't you maximizing that period, that time period? If you aren't, you're literally throwing away money. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Simple as. All this could be solved by just sending some resources, right? Having a thank you confirmation page in place, a customized landing page after booking the expectations, having some case studies and testimonials, with relevant stories, with, prospects you've helped, with leads you've helped, objection handling resources, having that in place where a list of common objections and then the relevant rebuttals to them, right? Personalized video messages, maybe something like a 1-2 minute video, introducing yourself, setting expectations, disarming that prospect further. And this could be done by yourself or a closer, either or. It's not necessarily you needed for it, but it's all these touch points help warm the prospect up so that you aren't just saying, hey, mate, from time you're booked in to the call, completely cold. You don't know what's going on in their head, right? If they're not looking at your resources, they're looking at someone else's resources. And you don't want them to do that. But next, no post-call follow-up SOP. Right, this is also crucial. All the offers I started working with either had this to a very, very, very poor extent or not in place at all. And this is something that we found was a massive game changer across the board. Across the board, right? Why? Because if you don't have this in place, warm leads go cold, right? Leads who have just come off a call, who haven't closed, are still warm, very, very warm. If you don't utilize that, money sits in the pipeline untouched. Revenue becomes dependent on first call closes, right? Sometimes, you aren't just going to get a first call close. Sure, we want to aim for it, but it's just the way the wind blows sometimes that we just don't end up getting it, right? How do we, overcome that? How do we work around that? Boom. We have a clear structure in place for post-call follow-ups, PCFUs, right? Setters follow up post-call with every lead who didn't close, handle all objections, leverage creators' authority, collect payment. These are all examples of DM closes, right? $6,000, $5,500, $4,000. These are all from the DMs, post-call. If you can train up a setter or even yourself at the start, but ideally you want to train up a setter to do this, if you're able to do that, boom. You've got the closer closing and any lead who didn't close with the on call, boom. Your set is working them in a pipeline to close them. It's an open loop. More money for you. Next, no sales dashboard. This is something most offers overlook. Why? Right? This is so crucial. If you haven't got visibility on show rate, close rate, cash collected per lead, revenue, cash collected versus projected, you can't scale what you can't see. So think about it. You're literally blind in the dark, trying to shoot darts. Oh yeah, I think this is the right direction we're going this month. Yeah, we're scaling up this month for sure. Have you got any data to back that up? Do you know what you're currently pacing? No? Well, good luck with that, mate. All right. Next, no renewals/retention tracking. Right? If you run a pretty shitty offer, okay, this probably isn't a priority for you. But if you actually care about fulfillment and you care about, giving a good service, then yeah, this is very important, right? If you don't address this, churn goes unnoticed. right? LTV stagnates. You know, you're basically signing a client in, boom, sign them in, boom, bye-bye, end of story, which is what we don't want. We want them to stay with us, right? We want to sell them one thing, have them have a good experience, and then continue selling them on something, right? But instead, you constantly need new leads just to stay level. You can't utilize your existing pipeline because you have no idea on where these prospects are. You don't track them. And as a result, your business feels heavy every single month instead of more predictable. Whereas if you were in a position where you actually prioritize, you know, a good fulfillment, good tracking on the back end upsells, you know, or maximizing LTV, well, then you wouldn't be pouring leads into a leaky system, would you? Right? That's all you're doing, right? Boom, 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 boom. Why? Why not utilize what you already have and maximize that? You know, there's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars sitting there just in the pipeline, which just need to be reactivated. With the correct tracking of this, right, with the correct check-in intervals, you can extract, you know, an extra, you know, $3,000 to $5,000 per client on the back end. At least I've seen it go as high as $10,000 to $12,000 with some of the clients I work with. So if you don't want your business to be looking like a yo-yo, up and down every single month, then utilize all these things, right? Every single one of these things in terms of systems and tracking will be a game changer for not only yourself, but your team, your business as a whole, and the way it's run. If you'd like to discuss this in more detail, the link to book a call is in the description below. If you have any questions, my Instagram's tagged below as well. Catch you in the next one.